A dim tunnel leads Lae'dellik and Vai'cairn onwards some 50 feet. Here and there, spears jut from the wall.
"Someone set off these traps already,"
says Lae'dellik. The two men position their torches as to get a better view.
"Well, there's no body."
Vai'cairn looks at the sprung traps.
"He must have made it through."
"There, blood."
Lae'dellik points to the second-to-last spear, whose tip is marked with dried blood. They follow the trail, composed of a few old and dry droplets of blood. It leads to a hexagonal chamber. Lining the walls and filling the room are a number of statues. These figures all wear stylized masks. The two adventurers recognize these statues as representing Hyrosians, the ancient enemy of the arcai. Lae'dellik identifies that one of the statues is not a Hyrosian, but rather an arcai, wearing his own type of sacred mask. And this statue seems newly made. Just as Lae'dellik relays this knowledge to his comrade, a great lamp ignites at the opposite end of the chamber. It is made of old, tarnished metal, and its several twisted tines burn with dark fire. Shadows lurch within the room, and the statues seem to whisper the agony of their eternal imprisonment. A slab of solid rock slams down behind the arcai, sealing the exit. Brackish tongues of flame lick from the various protrusions of the lamp, like some twisted Medusa's head. Lae'dellik is unsure what exactly this object's capabilities are. He glances about the chamber for another exit. The druid notices that one of the larger wall slabs contains graven sigils, Hyrosian petroglyphs similar to those he found on the main entrance outside. He moves over to this facet of the six-sided room. No sooner does he arrive when two of the flames flick higher. Sickly greenish tongues of fire leap up for a moment. The two arcai feel a terrible clutching sensation throughout their bodies. The men withstand the supernatural assault. Vai'cairn recalls the horrors of the Hyrosian traps he previously faced on the Island of Horns. He flies over to the eldritch lamp and brings down his MacLeod. He strikes against the metallic tines of the strange lamp. A loud clink resounds throughout the chamber, and a chip of obsidian breaks from the berserker's weapon. He shouts in anger. Lae'dellik gazes at the arcane device, then begins chanting to the elder spirits of the land in an effort to wipe away the dark Hyrosian magic. The flames of the Medusa lamp snuff out, and the object itself seems to fade dull and brittle. All around the chamber, statues revert from stone into the bodies of who they were before. The Hyrosians are an ancient people, and once they are freed from their stony prisons, they crumble into dust and bones. The arcai, however, becomes a man of flesh. He falls prostrate.
"Can you hear me?"
asks the druid. The masked arcai coughs and draws in a deep breath. He looks up, his mask of carven wood staring out in an expression of stoic prowess.
Am I still alive?
You are. I have freed you from your doom. I am Lae'dellik life from death, warrior shaman of the Whitewater tribe. I seek my enemy, the Makutu Atangal'poa, who was born in smoke.
Vai'cairn then speaks.
And I am Vai'cairn Gaushi, warrior of the cave, of the strong crag tribe. I too seek vengeance against this damned Makutu.
The masked one stands. His armor is made from the shells and plates of great coastal creatures. He holds a pole arm that has a head lined with razor-sharp obsidian.
I am Novaura, Old Mountain, warrior and Mokuna of the Blue Island tribe. I search for a weapon of my family. I think it is by here. I fear none who stands in my way. Not man, not beast, not spirit.
Koratung strikes his breastplate and holds out an open palm in a display of gratitude. He vows to aid Lae'dellik, who has freed him from his fate of eternal stone. He then takes a sip from a gourd.
Is that Mamote?
Asks Lae'dellik. Dreams of the dead, a sacred fermented drink that induces visions and contact with the spirit realm.
Yes, it is.
It is not wise to drink that here and now.
Koratung ignores the druid's warning. He shuts his eyes and calls out to his ancestors. He calls for strength and endurance during this ordeal. The holy warrior of the Blue Island tribe brings vigor back into the bodies of his newfound allies. The entrance is now open once again, but the arcai look ahead to the slab with the runes. The two men puzzle at the petroglyphs, but are unsure of how to open the way ahead. Koratung touches his mask and gazes intently ahead.
Yes,
He says, nearly entranced.
yes. The weapon is just beyond this.
Vai'cairn grows impatient. Well, you have to find another way. Come! The enemy must know that we're here now. Lae'dellik agrees.
Perhaps we should find another clue elsewhere.
Koratung is reluctant to turn back.
I'm so close. There must be a way.
He touches the petroglyphs, confounds himself over them, runs his fingers along the graven slab of basalt. Come on! Vai'cairn grasps the man's pauldron, which looks to have been fashioned from the shell of some monstrous crab. Koratung spins around, glaring within the eye holes of his mask.
You do not command me!
You're wasting time!
Naked brute you are! Stop shouting me!
Bah! Stay hidden! Maybe you'll be a statue again the next time we see you! Vai'cairn rejoins Lae'dellik in the Great Hall. A moment later, Koratung finds them.
This is the way we must go.
Lae'dellik gestures towards the High Priest's door. In order to reach the door, there is a narrow ledge which runs beside the pit. The men gaze down and see no bottom, only darkness. On the opposite side, there are also 3 larger ledges with gaps between them.
There is only death down there,
says Vai'cairn. Lae'dellik nods his head.
Yes, and possibly even worse. It may be undeath as one of the shadow spirits.
And of the other door?
I believe it leads only farther away. This is where we shall find what we seek.
Koratung, the masked one, says in a grim voice,
It is a risk we must take.
The three men begin making their way across, with the druid in the lead.
Stop!
Shouts Vai'cairn.
I do not trust the look of that stone.
What do you see?
Asks Lae'dellik, as he had not noticed anything.
I think it's warded. This whole path seems like a trap.
Turn back,
Commands Lae'dellik.
we shall not take this way.
The three men walk to the other side of the pit and look out at the staggered ledges that jut from the lower wall.
This doesn't look any better,
Says Koratung.
I will go.
Lae'dellik backs up a few paces to get a running start.
Wait for me here.
The berserker gives him a nod of confidence. Lae'dellik dashes ahead on sure limbs that only an arcai athlete possesses. The druid leaps once, twice, thrice, in a final great bound. He lands on the ledge in front of the high priest's door. With a heave, he hauls open the heavy basalt door. Within, there is a small chamber whose walls are graven with ornate markings. The other side of the room has a tunnel leading farther on, and a mechanism of weights and pulleys is set into the left-hand wall. It has 3 separate chain pulleys and seems relatively simple to operate. Lae'dellik inspects it. He is uncertain of its exact function. Stepping back out onto the external ledge, he shouts to his comrades.
There is a machine of some sort in here, and a tunnel that reaches farther onwards.
I am coming!
Replies Koratung. He goes sprinting and jumping ahead. His leap sends him onto the ledge next to the druid. He then takes a look at the pulley contraption.
Iron,
Scoffs Koratung. He then yells out to Vai'cairn.
warrior, are you going to stay behind? Shaking in fear?
Vai'cairn glowers, rushes forward, and releases a shout of berserker fury. He lands, sending a slight shudder through the floor with his weight. His eyes glare into Koratung's. Then he knocks the masked one back as he strides forward. He looks over the weights and pulleys set into the wall.
Bah, hydrogen machines.
The 3 men press onwards through the tunnel. Within no great span of time, they enter into a gloom through which even the brightest torch flames struggle to pierce. Through wide corridors they march cautiously on. Death-black shadows engulf the expanses, and spectral mists wind about the whole of these ancient passages. Here and there, the men hear a rasping voice or an echo of some misbegotten spirit. Shapes of beings lost to time fade in and out of the fog that interlaces the murkiness. Terrors slither at the backs of the 3 raiders' heads, insinuating a menace lurking amongst them. Here and now within this once great ziggurat, now heaped in ruin. Cold tendrils, like the fingers of wraiths, wring the resolve of these warriors' hearts. Lae'dellik lets out a groan of terror. He halts his steps and turns to flee, already considering taking on an animal form to speed his way out of the haunted passage. "No!" shouts Vai'cairn, and grabs his ally by the leathern scales of his armor.
"We press on, evil spirits be damned!"
Coratung looks Lae'dellik in the eye. His mask holds a stoic expression carved in wood.
"You do not die this day."
The three men push on. They proceed but a few strides when a spectral barrier appears in front of them, like a wall of liquid guarding the way ahead. From the ghostly surface, the face of an arcai woman emerges.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Help me.
The men stare at the unsettling sight of the tortured spirit. Lae'dellik knows that this spirit is trapped in eternal agony, believing that she is still alive and hopelessly drowning in water. However, revealing to her that she is actually dead will cause the spirit to enrage and become aggressive.
She must pass on.
Lae'dellik says quietly to his comrades.
She must make her way to the spirit realm.
Why can't you swim?
Questions Coratung. The spirit gasps, her face struggling in and out of the ripples of translucent waves.
Swim, woman!
The masked one incites her.
I cannot.
The woman blubbers.
They bound me.
She gasps and chokes, agonizing in the watery surface.
Please, I cannot die like this. I need to find my son. My son.
We cannot save you. No one can. Vai'cairn stares at the drowning ghost. But give us your name and your son's, and we shall find him and tell him of his mother's fate.
No!
The woman thrashes about, and a splash of the water strikes Vai'cairn. He is pulled into the spectral wall as well. Under the surface, he sees the ghastly faces of a dozen souls, all drowned, floating and gazing at him with their dead eyes. He too contorts and struggles, just managing to break upwards for a couple short gasps of breath. His whole life, he has been a great swimmer, but this phantasmal prison binds him in a terrible and supernatural way.
Grab your hold!
Coratung extends the haft of his glaive, which Vai'cairn grasps. He begins kicking with the strength of his legs. The sentinel and the druid both pull to free their ally. Coratung's grip slips, and he suffers a cut from his weapon's obsidian head. The berserker is able to free himself of the wall of water. He thrusts ahead like a dolphin leaping, then tumbles onto the floor. The surface of the spectral water has now become a tumult of rough waves. The ghost woman still gags and pleads for the men to save her.
My son,
She screams,
why to go die?
Lae'dellik senses in his gut that this woman is terrified more of losing her son than even her own life. He looks her in the eye and speaks of his own son. He swears that he will do all he can to find her child, Wai'tukotai, and aid him. The spirit ceases to thrash about and sinks beneath the surface of the water. Her eyes fade away unto eternal rest, while those other tormented souls remain lurking just below the surface, eyeing the party with cold glares. Koratung feels a surge of vigor in this moment. He raises his glaive on high, calling to the spirits of the land. Lae'dellik joins him, raising his serpent staff. Then so too does Vai'cairn with his maquitl. The three arcai bellow a great cry and slash into the spectral wall. The waters part, and they pass through on fleet steps. They spare no time, rushing through the liquid corridor. To either side, pale faces of forlorn souls stare in silent resentment, as though wanting to reach through the barrier and pull the warm bodies in to join them in unlife. The druid, the warrior, and the masked one make the other side and continue on, farther through the dark passageways of this misbegotten ruin, farther into the halls of shadow.